Hey, what's up guys? Matt with the Movement System. In this video, we're gonna cover 10 major fitness milestones that you should aim to hit in your 30s. Because maybe you're a former athlete or a coach or a trainer in your late 20s or in your 30s looking for some ambitious goals. This can be an exciting time to hit lifetime personal records and accomplish major fitness challenges. You just need to know what to aim for and how to train for it. So that's exactly what we're gonna cover today. Here's the way this video will break down. Milestones number 1 through 3 are gonna be aerobic endurance metrics. Milestones 4 and 5 are gonna be strength metrics. Milestones 6 through 8 are going to be athleticism, and then finally milestones 9 and 10 are kind of wild cards. At the end, I'll provide you a summary so that way you can tally up how many you've already hit, and I want you to let me know in the comments which one you want to work on next. Fair warning, these are ambitious top tier fitness goals, but I'll provide some levels to consider as well. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it, starting with fitness milestone number 1, which may surprise you, and that is achieving a resting heart rate below 50 beats per minute. And I included this one first because these milestones are not just about performance, but also about maximizing your health. The average resting heart rate is around 64 beats per minute for men and 66 beats per minute for women. But your goal shouldn't be to be average. You want to build aerobic fitness and see your resting heart rate drop, specifically to around 57 beats per minute to be in the top 10 percentile, around 54 beats per minute to be in the top 5 percentile, around 51 beats per minute to be in the top 2.5 percentile, or around 47 beats per minute to be in the top 1 percentile. So you can set your own target based on this chart if you want to, but I think a good overall fitness milestone to achieve is a resting heart rate below 50 beats per minute. And you'll want to get this reading either overnight or first thing in the morning, ideally with a monitor like a Whoop or a fitness tracker. That way you could see a trend over time. The best way to decrease your resting heart rate is to build aerobic fitness. For example, when I was training for a half Ironman and building aerobic fitness, my resting heart rate dropped progressively from around 60 beats per minute to as low as around 45 beats per minute. And hitting this metric can actually correspond to hitting others on the list as well. So let's move on. But before we do, if you are enjoying the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any science-based strength conditioning content in the future. Okay, so now let's move on to milestone number 2, the 5-minute mile. This one is tough. Probably the toughest on the list. In fact, the world record time for the mile run was above 4 minutes before Roger Bannister broke the barrier in 1954. And in case you're curious, the current mile record is an unbelievably fast 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Sub 4 minutes is still very rare outside of elite competitive runners. However, the 5-minute mile stands as a very challenging yet achievable milestone for fitness enthusiasts. The average male in their 30s runs a mile in about 9 minutes. So if you want a slightly less aggressive target, you can aim to break the 6-minute mile and you'll still be within the top 5% of the population. For hybrid athletes, a 5-minute and 30-second mile is an elite standard while maintaining strength. And 5 minutes and 30 seconds is also the typical conditioning target of a D1 basketball athlete. But if you really want to set your heart on a top tier fitness milestone and be in the top 1 percentile of athletes in your 30s, then you want to aim to break that 5-minute mile. This is also a good time to mention that you can modify each of these milestones to your own goals and based on your own fitness level, gender, etc. I just want to give you some ambitious targets to motivate you and work towards. For females, I would put the elite standard here at a 5.5-minute mile. Okay, next we have milestone number 3. And I'm going to make this one a little bit more of an achievable aerobic fitness goal, and that is running a sub 20-minute 5K. This involves running at a 6-minute and 26-second pace for 3.1 miles. Training for a 20-minute 5K will typically take several months to a year plus of consistent running. And you'll want to build up to at least 4 to 5 runs per week, or a total of about 20 to 30 miles per week. The weekly breakdown that I typically train for to hit a sub 20-minute 5K includes 1 threshold run, for example, 3 1-mile efforts around a 6:30 to 6:40 pace with about 2 minutes of rest. Also 1 weekly interval session with something like 6 times 800 meter efforts with about a 3-minute target. and about 1.5 minutes rest between efforts. And then you'll also want to include 2 to 3 easy runs per week, targeting around 60 to 90 minutes at approximately 70% of your maximum heart rate. To be on track for a 20-minute 5K, over time you want to get your easy run pace up to about 8.5 to 9 minutes per mile. And personally, I do all this with our hybrid athlete program where we test endurance and strength each month and work towards different PRs throughout the year. So this is a good time to mention that if you are looking to hit strength and endurance PRs, you can join our hybrid athlete team and get started today. Use the link in the description below and use the code RUNPR2025 for 20% off and your first 7 days free. It's a great way to get on track with a program so that way you can work towards these fitness milestones we're covering today. Okay, now let's move on to milestone number 4, which is a 2.5 times body weight or a 500-pound trap bar deadlift. Now, why trap bar deadlift and why 500 pounds? Well, frankly, I think that this is just a much safer and more consistent lower body strength test to recommend across the board relative to a barbell back squat. The trap bar deadlift does not require any spotters, and you don't have to judge if you hit depth or not. With the trap bar deadlift, you either lift it or you don't. But why 500 pounds or 2.5 times body weight? Well, I think 500 pounds is a really solid strength number, and it's something that I've had myself and my athletes work up to. It's been a good goal to set sights on for myself and my athletes. But of course, like any of these metrics, you can modify and set your own target. Overall, I think it's a really good max strength test. Okay, now let's move on to milestone number 5, which is 10 full range of motion pull-ups or 5 full range of motion pull-ups for females. And this one is surprisingly tough. This has to be done with a pronated or an overhand pull-up grip, not a supinated chin-up grip. Also, the elbows have to lock out fully at the bottom of each repetition, and the chin has to go above the bar at the top of each repetition. Training with weighted pull-ups and negatives can help you reach this goal. I think that combined, the trap bar deadlift and the pull-ups are a solid combination of 2 strength metrics for upper and lower body. And even though it didn't make the official list, I'll give you an honorable mention, which is the 1 rep max bench press, 1.5 times body weight for males, or 1.2 times body weight for females. Okay, now let's move on to the overall athleticism milestones with milestone number 6, and that is a 40-yard dash in under 5 seconds or under 5.5 seconds for females. If you've watched the NFL Combine, you've seen athletes consistently run sub 4.5 seconds, with incredibly fast athletes like Xavier Worthy running an incredibly fast 4.21 seconds. But the big men are coming across the line closer to 5 seconds. Now this one will take some sprint and speed training as well as practicing a 3-point start, but I think it could actually be a really fun goal to train for. All right, moving on, another cool athleticism related metric to train for is milestone number 7, a 24-inch vertical jump or a 16-inch vertical jump for females. For recreational male athletes in their 30s, the average vertical jump is around 18 inches. Breaking the 2 foot or the 24-inch mark would put you in the top 10 percentile. This is a standing vertical jump with arm swing, which could be measured with a Vertec device, a laser timing device like the OVR jump, or by standing next to a wall, reaching up and placing a piece of tape, jumping, placing another piece of tape, and measuring the distance between them. This is something that you'll want to measure each week for several weeks while training plyometrics to see your progress build over time. Okay, now let's move on to milestone number 8, and that is a broad jump of 8 feet for men or 6.5 feet for women. The broad jump measures explosive lower body power and horizontal force production. And it's actually a lot easier to measure than a vertical jump. Elite level broad jump metrics are 9 feet plus for men and 7 feet plus for women. To measure this, you're gonna want to stand at a line and then jump forward as far as possible and then measure from the heel of the back foot to the start line. If you fall backwards, this does not count. Overall, this is a really great test of athleticism, and you can even use it in late stage rehab. All right, now we're getting into our last 2, which are sort of wild cards. And with that, we have milestone number 9, which is a 3-minute plank and side plank. These can be done with rest in between, but basically we're looking to hold a forward plank position on either the hands or the forearms without breaking form for 3 minutes. We don't want to see the hips dropping down to the ground or rounding in the lower back. And then for the side plank, that's done on the elbow with the feet stacked. Again, maintain a straight line throughout the body and don't let the hips drop down. And I'll be honest, 3 minutes is tough, but it is a good goal to work towards. This is something that I look for with my elite endurance athletes, and it can really help them maintain their form and their economy for long races. And then our last fitness milestone is number 10, and that is to complete a marathon or a half Ironman. This one has the physical aspect as well as the mental aspect of the amount of training that it takes to prepare for and to complete. A marathon can take anywhere from 2 hours and 20 minutes for really competitive runners to around 4 hours for the average finisher. And a half marathon can take anywhere from around 4 hours for really competitive top athletes to around 6 hours for the average finisher. So of course you can set yourself a time target for these, but honestly just finishing that long of a race is a big milestone to hit in your 30s. So to summarize, here are the 10 fitness milestones to hit in your 30s, 1 through 10. Feel free to pause and screenshot and tally up how many that you have hit. Personally, I'm at 6 out of 10 and hope to hit the 500-pound trap bar deadlift next. Let me know what you're at and what you're training for in the comments below. If you are planning on checking off these milestones in your 30s, I would also recommend having some seasonality in your training where you're focusing on hitting 1 or 2 milestones at a time. Overall, I hope this does provide you with some motivation to stay healthy and to train hard. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.